She expected an inheritance from my late husband, by user Murugan. My husband passed away 2 years ago. He was a remodeler who had a broad list of clients. For a time, to help out the adult daughter, let's call her Kiki, of my good friend of 42 years, Ami. He would hire her as a helper on some of his larger remodeling projects. During that time, Kay would occasionally borrow things for her own projects: a portable CD player, a pair of channel locks, a winch and come along, a table saw, chainsaw, a Graco cart paint sprayer, and an air compressor and nail gun. They were all borrowed clean, in working order, in good condition with all relevant parts included. Every single one of them was returned with great delays, all broken and missing significant parts and a crap ton of excuses. Over 2 years, Kiki managed to cost him nearly $5,000 in losses. Finally, he also quit hiring her as a helper because he caught her stealing from one of his clients and forced her to put the item she took right back and then kicked her off the job immediately. Last September, I was visiting Ami and Kiki was there. And then Kiki hit me up for what she called her promised inheritance, which was the first I ever heard about it. Given that my hubby and I spent the 8 years of his terminal illness talking about what he wanted after his death, given that he gifted things of his that he wanted friends to have before he died, I knew damn well he didn't intend for Kiki to have anything. My husband left no will. Ami knew that my hubby had quit lending her tools after getting the cart paint sprayer back. It was a $1,200 purchase and was less than 4 months old when it was borrowed and returned broken in ways the warranty would not cover. Ami also knew Kiki's attempted theft had caused him to refuse to have her work on anything with him for any reason. Ami was also a victim of her daughter stealing from her as well. Now, our state is a community property state. When a spouse dies without a will, only the surviving spouse inherits, so Ami told her daughter to back off, and I got the bright idea of how I was going to handle getting rid of all that broken stuff which was still taking up room in the tool shed, so I told her, I'd be sure to pick something out for her even though her own behavior was the root cause of the bad blood between herself and my husband. So, the next day, with Ami's help, I dropped off all the broken tools and the busted up CD player Kiki borrowed from my hubby at her apartment. Kiki wanted to know what I expected her to do with all of it. I told her that I expected her to do with them whatever it was she had expected my hubby to do with them after she returned them in the condition they were in. Now, she is the proud owner of a bunch of useless tools and I got to reclaim nearly 35 square foot of space in what is now my tool shed. Roommate stole my washcloths, so I decided to let her steal one more. Devil face, by user Psychnerd27. My freshman year I had the most inconsiderate roommate who'd stay up all night talking loudly, eat my food, etc. Oddly, my washcloths that I used to wash my face would go missing. I think I lost like 3 or 4 throughout the semester. I thought someone was taking them, but I had no idea where to. Well, the end of the semester we were clearing out the bathroom cabinets to move out, and what did I find shoved in the far back corners of the cabinet? My washcloths, which were covered in orange foundation. Clearly evidence from my one rude roommate because she wore so much foundation every single day. I was super annoyed because I had to keep buying more washcloths to replace the ones she stole. Well, I decided to use one of my other washcloths and clean the disgusting bathtub with it. I'm talking ring of shampoo, dirt, hair everywhere, etc. I was planning to just throw it away afterwards, but I decided to hang it up and let it dry. In the same place I would hang my washcloths for my face. The next day the washcloth I had used for the bathtub was covered in orange foundation. The look on her face when I told her. No regrets. She tried to extort a baby from me, but ended up helping me keep the baby, by user helpyhutetexas. This happened way back. My daughter is 30 now. When I was 18 and in my first year of college, I got pregnant. The father joined the Navy to escape responsibility. My parents, who are strict conservatives except when it's inconvenient, abandoned me and cut me off financially. They wanted me to have an abortion to prevent the loss of my scholarship. That's how I found myself at 18 suddenly and totally responsible for myself and my living situation with no financial or emotional support from anyone. I lived at a private dorm and was befriended by the property manager, Donna. When I told her my situation, she swooped in like a hero and helped me get a place to stay at one of the other properties she managed. I was getting evicted from the dorm. She then helped me get a job at a gift shop at one of those properties. I thought she was the most wonderful person for all of this until her true motives became clear. She wanted to adopt my baby, even though I had expressed no interest in giving my baby up for adoption. After a few weeks of work, she launched a campaign to convince me I was unfit to be a mother and that my baby would be so much better off if I let Donna have it. At first it was subtle, passive-aggressive remarks about how much money she and her husband had, how she couldn't have children herself, how she hoped she was able to adopt one day and what a wonderful life they would give their baby. But, as time passed, her approach became more aggressive and direct. She was always around the shop and would even come to my apartment, ready to point out things I did, or didn't do, that proved what a terrible mother I would be. She went into long rants about how awful I was for having a baby without a father, how we'd be welfare trash forever, how God brought her into my life because she was meant to have my baby. It was endless and constant, for months. Sometimes I let her comments upset me and make me wonder if she was right, but in my heart I knew that I'd be a good mother. For a while, and feeling intimidated, I let myself be bullied into including her in baby-related events. I even let her go with me to the sonogram where I found out my baby was a girl. She was so excited for me. As I got closer to delivering, I got stronger in making clear to Donna that I was not giving up my baby. I tried to avoid Donna as much as I could, but was regularly reminded how much power she had over my living situation. I soon had co-workers telling me she was claiming that my baby's adoption was a done deal. She even told people she was decorating a nursery and buying baby girl clothes. When it became clear that she was not going to change my mind, she started threatening me with eviction from my apartment and firing me from my job. That way, I'd realize how unstable my situation was and recognize I had no business having a baby. And sure enough, I lost my job. She fired me for not wearing my shoes behind the cashier's counter at the gift shop. When I was on my feet all day, my feet would swell right out of my shoes. I'd stayed behind the counter and slip off my shoes for a bit, but never in view of the customers. Still, that was reason enough, in Donna's mind, to teach me a lesson. It didn't take long after losing my job to also lose my apartment. I ended up couch surfing and even spent some time homeless until I got some housing assistance. In the meantime, I had gone to the EEOC and complained, and they helped me mediate with the owners of the gift shop property. As a result, Donna got fired from managing that property and I got months of back pay and some extra money for my trouble, in exchange for not full-out suing them. This small cash windfall turned out to be a huge blessing that actually enabled me to survive financially until I had my baby and could get back in school. Donna firing me was the best thing that could have ever happened. I saw her years later and she was still childless. Best revenge, my daughter is now getting ready to graduate, full scholarship and magna cum laude, from a top law school. Turns out being raised by a single mom is not as awful as Donna thought. Smiley face, treat your employee like crap? Okay, I'll hire her, by user Gfamer. My bookkeeper reminded me of this now that she's retiring. I'd forgot how she came to work for us. She's been our mother hen and office fixture so long I forgot. Close to 25 years ago, I was estimating and quoting a metalworking job, factory expansion job, about 100 miles from my home/shop. The owner was berating a fairly young bookkeeper about how a computer glitch was her fault, and using completely inappropriate language. When we went to the job site, he explained how she only had a local college degree in bookkeeping and business, and if he didn't keep her on the back foot she would want a raise and benefits, and mentioned she had to keep the job because she was a single mother. We cut steel, installed it, so I saw this girl cry, work through lunch, be the last one to leave her department, etc. I talked it over with my then girlfriend, now wife, about poaching this trained girl since we desperately needed a resident bookkeeper/controller. Like needed one 5 years ago. But if I did it would burn bridges with a customer. Don't think I did anything that wasn't goal-oriented for me/my business, we had serious issues with taxes/compliance at the time. My girlfriend went to the job site with me, sit with this girl, young lady, and slipped her a business card not knowing if she would want to move from a city to the country, etc. She had worked there 5 years, got no raises or benefits in 5 years, desperately wanted another job, but knew the boss/owner would kill her job reference since she saw him do it before. My wife rented her a little place for cheap. She started with us, and untangled the last 3 years of mess in about 3 months. For the first time ever the monthly reports were on time and the tax paperwork was done on time. Even managed to talk the IRS/state revenue out of most of the fines/penalties. She quickly became my girl Friday since she killed problems in minutes that had plagued me for years. Actual education and experience, along with being sharp as a tack. She met her husband here, had her wedding lakeside here, they built a house here, had 2 more kids here, and spent 25 years working here, high ground POO of the office. Killer of paperwork dragons. She and my wife have become great friends since they both lived city lives at one point and we are all country folks. Although I kept a professional distance, so I was quite surprised when she broke down in tears at her retirement get-together saying she owed her entire life to us. Well, no she doesn't. I was more than willing to throw money at the paperwork monsters to get the tax/compliance people off my ass. She saved the company. Model employee, wonderful wife, great mom, and all-around good person. She doesn't owe us anything, she earned everything she worked hard to get it. It's my good fortune to have been in the right place at the right time, and the right time in her life. I'm sure with her intelligence, willingness to work and learn she would have done well once she got away from that a-hole. The revenge. I knew the customer I poached her from got into all kinds of tax, employee pay, and state/federal regulation problems about 6 months after she left. But I just found out when working with the state/federal tax people she leaked about his shady dealings, when we dealt with labor relations people she leaked about his shady dealings, and so on. She knew exactly where to point the investigators and they didn't disappoint. I've seen her use the innocent, my last employer did this way or my boss is going to be very angry I messed this up when talking the people out of fines or penalties from back when she didn't even work here. So thinking about it I know how she worked it into conversation without actually snitching, and they ran off, foaming at the mouth and left us alone. Sly girl. But our sly girl. He lost the company inside of 18 months of her being here. It's still there and producing, just under entirely new owners and management. Don't screw with the people cooking your books. She, by the way, got us through every audit from everybody/agency. Even a super audit from the IRS about 7 years ago and got complimented from the auditors about how organized and efficient she was, and how pleasant she was to work with. She said it was easy when we followed the rules, you know, the rules I didn't know about or understand. My eyes bulge at the mention of taxes and easy in the same sentence. Superior kept stealing my work so made him look stupid and crazy, by user MJB17. So I do data analysis for financial firms. I'm based in Europe but I get a new line manager from America. Now I get on really well with my American colleagues but this guy is an asshat. Not sure how he got promoted to his position as he knew nothing about the industry. I frequently had to present to the board and he'd always go through my slides beforehand and ask me about them. He'd then ask purposefully challenging questions about things he'd only just learned from me 5 minutes before the meeting. Really dickish behavior. Once I realized what he was doing I started being more careful about how much I shared. One time I managed to plant questions that made him look stupid in front of the board. Following this he started making me present to him beforehand and then would take my presentation and deliver it himself to take the credit. This really pissed me off so I took my petty revenge. For the next meeting I included a few slides in the PowerPoint that were not connected to the presentation. I was able to quickly skip through these when I was going through it with him so he didn't pick them up. However, once he got in the meeting the fun began. The board were very surprised to see a picture of a baby kangaroo in the middle of the projected Q3 earnings. He got flustered and blundered through the next few slides. He was just getting back on track but then the regional analysis appeared on the bare chest of Tom Brady. The board were getting visibly annoyed at this point and they thought he was joking around. It all settled down until the final slide. It was the standard any questions. Only the faded picture in the background just happened to be a bikini pic of the CEO's daughter taken from her Instagram. How did that get there? Asshat quickly made his apologies and left. He came gunning for me so I had to play ignorant. I don't know how that happened, it was all fine when we went through it before. Must be a hacker. Luckily Sergeant Shithead bought this excuse as he knows nothing about anything. The board however weren't so forgiving and immediately transferred him to a more junior position. 6 months later I got promoted the role he had vacated.